Hi Varun, welcome to Ketchup Talks.
Hi, thank you.
First of all, I want to say it has been a delight to watch you on screen. I have absolutely loved watching you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And congratulations on Rakshak. I think it's garnering a lot of great reviews.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of
But
people are watching it and like,
yeah, yeah. Have you gone
yeah.
through audience's responses?
Yeah. I mean, of course, the first few days I get my family, my friends, and then people message on Instagram, and then people have been sort of meeting me in the gym, and people, wherever I go, like, matlab, there are people who've seen it. So it is picking up in terms of word of mouth as well. So, I mean, it is a true story about a army guy, and so I think that is a very strong reason for people to watch.
But I saw the film and I love the authenticity that the film brought in because there's no bravado-ness probably that you can say of the army. It's very authentic in its sense. Did you shoot in real locations in real time space?
Yeah, most of the locations are real locations. Some, of course, we had to, due to time constraint or due to not getting permissions, or some places due to not being able to explode bombs at the live locations, we had to do it on a set. But otherwise, mostly it's been real locations. What you were saying earlier is that we've tried to intentionally sort of keep it raw and not try to add any bravado and not try to add any frills and try to keep it sort of simple.
Right.
That's how we perceived Triveni to be, Lieutenant Triveni Singh. And that's the idea we got from his family also, that he was just a very simple, straight guy. And I think everybody was on the same page to tell the story without any sort of frills.
But when you do a character like this, that is very much existing in real life. Like you said, he's very simple. You met his family. How different it is when you do it in fiction? What kind of difference is a real life character and a fictional character?
So for fiction, like, a lot of it is on the paper. A lot of it is in the director's mind. A lot of it then comes from my mind. And then one is able to sort of, put a little bit of yourself into it also. And you put a little bit of your own sort of life experiences and wherever you see some loopholes. But with Lieutenant Triveni Singh's story, there was so much information and we had access to his family. So there was no reason for me to put myself into it. And and he was such a great guy. If you hear the stories, from his mom about him, even his personal life, he was just a very good guy. He was really like a good guy, which those kind of people are rare to sort of come across these days. So I was like, it sort of became easy because I had access to it. But yes, the challenging part was to become that guy and to because I was like, the family is going to watch this at the end of it. So it has to be as authentic a portrayal of the character as can be possible, as best as that I can do. So it had its own challenges, but I think I wouldn't say it was easier, but it was more wholesome to play a real human being. Like, it felt more wholesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one moment that the entire kind of film is focused on. But you have to encapsulate his entire life in it. His entire personality in it. That's kind of what Rakshak is.
But the thing is that he might have been, I won't say complicated. I think in the beginning, it was complicated to understand him. But once the process started and as one sort of started doing the work on the character and the preparation that I do, as it went by, you just started realizing that this is a really simple person who doesn't really have any subtext, and he just says what he wants to say, and there's no sort of, जैसे हम लोग जो बोलते हैं, अंदर से कुछ और होता है, बाहर से कुछ और होता है vibe. So as I got to know him and I started working on him, it just became easier and easier because I realized that it's the simplicity that I have to play. And that was difficult for me because I am not such a simple, at least I was not such a simple human being there, because we all have layers and complications to ourselves and complexities. But trying to play him, I think I also sort of, at least for that time period, and hopefully I'll be able to keep it up, tried to simplify my thoughts, and I'm in a better space.
So you kind of agree that each character leaves something with you?
Yeah, definitely. I to in fact feel that you get the character that sort of in the direction of the life that you're sort of heading to. You get cast on the basis of that. You get those kind of characters on the basis of where you're heading in life, and the direction that you want to go towards. So I have actually been saying for a very long time that I've been wanting to play an army role ever since my first film Jalebi released. I've been saying that I want to play an army role. And what a special one to play, because not only was it an army role, but also the true story of a real life hero, who was a pretty good guy and person. And funnily enough, his mother and sister said to me when I met them, they said कि तुम्हें लगता है कि तुम्हें डायरेक्टर ने चूज किया है या तुम्हें प्रोड्यूसर ने चूज किया है? I said नहीं, तुम्हें तुम्हें त्रिवेणी ने चूज किया है. So even if you were in the back of Timbuktu somewhere, he would have found you and you would have been cast for this film because you were meant to play it. There's something about you which resonates with him as well. So, all those things just sort of made it a very wholesome experience.
But coming to your fictional work now, Kapil from
Yeah.
Saath Bahu or Flamenco, and then it's a
Yeah.
massively great series again, but
Yeah.
it's an ensemble kind of thing, and yet each and every character shines in it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you have heard this or not, but people have kind of drawn comparisons between Kapil and Kendall from Succession.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, people have
Really?
specifically, yeah, from that one scene that is there when you're there and you're crying after your first kill and you can't really deal with it, what has happened and everything. So that entire scene has I read somewhere in some internet, I found that people have been comparing it with Jeremy Strong's Kendall and the vulnerability that he brings.
That's great to hear. I did not know that. Thank you for telling me.
Since I guess if you didn't know it, then it didn't came for the prep as well. It never was discussed between you and Homie sir that maybe Kendall could be somewhere.
Oh, no. Homie's not even seen Succession. And we were really surprised that he's not, because it's one of all our favorite shows. So yeah, I mean, it was meant to be a Succession story, but also it was not really. It was more about the family politics and all these different characters and how they sort of eventually grow to either come into their own or go away from themselves completely. So no, Homie had not even seen Succession. I don't think he's still seen it.
I was actually reading in some interview that you said that you had to dub for Guilty Minds, Deepak, and Kapil was interfering with Deepak in terms of your voice.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate these transitions as an actor?
So I'm usually shooting one project at a time, but it so happened that Guilty Minds had, I think, 4 scenes which had to be dubbed. Small scenes. They were not much because most of it was sync sound. And I was flown down. I was in Jaipur, so I flew down over here to Bombay to sort of do the dubbing. And I could not get the voice back because Kapil is a very different sort of vibe, like in terms of the character and the body language, and I look also very different. So I tried so much. By the end of it, the director was also like, let it be. You send us voice recordings later and then we'll try and sort of dub. So I must have managed to maybe do 1 or 2 thin scenes because Deepak has such a light energy and he had a lighter voice and he had more projection in his voice, and Kapil is all inside and daba hua and suppressed and heavier sort of tonality, and so it was difficult. But yeah, what helps is doing only one project at a time. I am generally someone who can do only one thing at a time. I can't multitask. I'm not good at multitasking.
That is what I was gonna ask you. That how are you navigating as an actor in this industry right now that is churning out so much of content all the time?
I'm just picking the projects and the roles which are sort of in tandem with where I want to be in terms of it excites me to do different roles, to play characters which have a different voice, different body language, different posture. So I'm just I think that I'm choosing the work and the work is choosing me bases these kind of things where the characters are interesting and there is some. I mean, I'm a sucker for a graph. I enjoy a graph while watching and while playing. So I'm just going towards, just instinctively going towards those roles which have all these things little happening in them.
But when you play Kapil and Deepak and Lieutenant Triveni Singh, how do you manage to keep your mental health also in check? Because as an actor, you go inside the mind of somebody else, and then you have to come back to yourself.
Yeah, I think I'm slowly getting better at coming back to myself because it does affect you. You do, especially when you're playing characters which have a different body language, it sort of really takes you into some deep, dark places sometimes, especially during Kapil, because Kapil was like quite different to sort of who I am on the surface of it. So I had to keep reminding myself that whatever thoughts I'm having right now while we were shooting and even after the shoot got over are not my own thoughts. They are thoughts of this character and I have to wash them off sort of completely. I'm also a Vipassana student. I practice Vipassana every day. So that really helps me sort of wash off the character and sort of stay sane. And I think the most amount of turmoil happened when I was playing Kapil for those 3 months.
So I wouldn't necessarily say after these projects that, do you think that you have arrived after OTT or especially after Jalebi? But do you think OTT has definitely changed something for you?
Changed something for me?
Yeah. In terms of your acting?
100%. 100%. I think OTTs changed something for everybody in the industry, whether it is technicians, whether it is actors, whether it is directors or writers. I cannot imagine even 5 years ago playing roles like Deepak Rana or like Kapil. Chalo, Lieutenant Triveni Singh, one can still imagine it was still a space which was sort of there. But I cannot imagine a show like Guilty Minds doing well and being appreciated. I cannot imagine a show like Saas Bahu Flamingo being made.
Yeah.
The kind of space it was, even 5 years ago, I can't imagine it. So it's definitely it's a great time for all of us, Touchwood, to be a part of this industry. And I'm grateful that I'm here at this time where there's such great writing and there's scope for more and more and more and more growth happening. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely changed things up for everyone.
So, I've read one piece, somebody had said that it's now the time for hybrid actors because, you're doing films and you're doing OTT as well and you're doing something else as well, or short films as well. Do you think that's true, that hybrid actors, it's now the time for hybrid actors?
What does hybrid means? Like you're switching
Hybrid means you're switching, yeah. You're easily switching into spaces and it's not about...
I feel like everyone's become a hybrid actor now. Like all the big stars also stepping into this space. Like people are doing short films. I don't think there's any sort of... the lines between all three of these spaces has become quite blurred. I think television is still stands separate. That's a different space, television, reality TV, all that. But I think as far as short films or web series or theatricals are concerned, it's all the lines have gotten blurred. They're all shooting with the same equipment. The language is very cinematic and real. So those lines have got completely blurred, and I think everybody's become hybrid now.
I have to ask, is there season 2 of Guilty Minds and Saas Bahu Flamingo coming?
Yes, there is so we know there's a season 2 of Guilty Minds for sure, which is we should hopefully start shooting it in the first few months of the next year. Saas Bahu Flamingo is still in the writing process. That's still going to take a lot of time because it's such a massive world. It takes time to write those kind of characters down. So that will also probably happen sometime next year, but that will take a little bit longer. But yes, they're both happening.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Deepak and the authenticity of, how do you frame it? Pahadiness that kind of you bring to the character. How did you do that? I mean, how did you prep for that? Because it doesn't
the Pahadi aspect.
Pahadi aspect of it. Because it doesn't look like that you're trying to be doing it. It comes naturally to you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's a nice compliment. So I worked with an accent coach His name is Ganesh sir. I've worked with him in the past also, where we were generally just working on voice and accents and generally being able to sort of switch between. And I also had help from there was one there's this one character who's Ratan in the show. He was from he plays Ratan, the guy whose brother sort of passes away in
Right.
the who's Satish Kaushik's character.
Yeah.
His brother he killed. So Ratan is from Himachal as well. So what happened was that Ratan came over to my place and we sort of jammed, and then I called my accent coach also, and we sort of all jammed together. And I remember us singing sort of Pahadi songs and sort of just trying to get into the body language of it. Emotions are the same. Nothing changes between being a Himachali, being a Delhi boy or a Bombay boy. It's just the way they sort of move their body, or the way they sort of course the accent is different. But I think once you get the voice correct, once you find the voice, then it becomes easier to just portray that part of it. I mean, it's difficult for me to put into words how I switched into that Pahadiness, but I think it was just a combination of jamming with my director, jamming with this Ratan guy, jamming with my accent coach, and of course learning the lines really well. And yeah.
But if I had to give you a name, I'll give you authentic actor, because I felt in Rakshak too.
Thank you so much. That's a lovely compliment.
Yeah. So your upcoming project is Tejas. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's an RSVP film. Kangana is playing a pilot in the film. I am opposite her. I'm her love interest, and I am playing the role of a musician. I get introduced to an Arijit Singh song. I have another Arijit Singh song to my name, which I'm very excited about. Our last association together was on Jalebi, which was Pal, and one or two other songs which did really well. Yeah, the film is out on the 20th of October. It's my birthday on the 19th. So I am looking forward to the release. But that's as much as I can tell you. I can't reveal too much.
No, completely. That's exciting as well. But what I wanted to ask you was, has the future right now changed for you from, maybe let's just say, from the time of Jalebi, where probably you can say no to a project, or you can choose a pick and project? Has that happened for you?
I have always been a choosy person. I have always picked projects. I have always said no, even when I've not had work, and not coming from a place of ego or pride, but purely coming from a place that I really need to love the character, and I really need to love the project and the people to step into that space. When I came away from Delhi and I left a comfortable job and a comfortable salary and a comfortable home, I think slowly, what kind of happened is that I only learned how to do things that I love. And it's just been that way. Now, for better or for worse, it's just like that. So unless and until I get something which I really feel has like wholesomeness in it, and it has some sort of excitement, some challenge, something new, I don't take up the project. Then I'd rather just be home. I'll work on all my stuff and just wait for the next one to come.
Do you have any manifestations that you'd like to work with this director or this actor?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to have manifestations. Homie was definitely one of those people that I really wanted to work with after I saw Cocktail. And I tested with him for another film in between as well, which the film itself got shelved. So it was it was my dream to work with Homie and to sort of associate with him. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, I think that I would rather just go with the flow and not have any sort of map in my mind about what kind of projects I want to do, or what kind of people I want to work with. I think somewhere that restricted me in the past to sort of have a roadmap, and I'd rather just sort of stay in the moment and kind of take it as it comes.
How do you handle rejections generally?
Not well. No, I didn't handle them well in the past. I think everyone doesn't handle them well in the past. Actually, that's not true. I've always I've never really seen it as rejection. I've always, of course, your heart breaks when something you want doesn't happen, and like you've done your bit for it and you've auditioned for it and you're really attached to the character. And I get attached to characters pretty quickly if I like them. So of course the heart breaks that you were not able to sort of get the character and why and all that stuff. But I I think the only reason sort of that I've survived these last 9 or 10 years is because I've not really taken it as rejection. I've taken it as कि chalo, either it was not supposed to work out or it was supposed to be something that I was supposed to learn from this, that's some mistake that I made. So I got into the habit of always sort of the projects that did not work out, I got into the habit of sort of going back, reviewing the tests that I gave, or sort of understanding, okay, where was it that I could have done more, that I should have got the part. Sometimes also when the movie releases that you've tested for and you see the portrayal of the character, then you understand that this was not supposed to be for me. It's not something that it was a completely different, like, looking human being or whatever. So I think rejection is a word that
Negative
I don't know where
connotations.
it's coming from. Like the industry has thrown it in, like, because it's like a lack of understanding of what it actually is. So you say rejection, which is, I think it's a negative word which should slowly be done away with.
We're
Because
just
it
not fit
does,
for the role.
if you don't yeah, you're just not fit for it, or if there's something that you need to sort of work on yourself, which is like, which is lacking in you at the moment, which is something that you need to explore. And what would really help is, some casting directors do this, what would really help is if you do get sort of feedback from some of the casting directors that you work with, and they say that, okay, like, this is where it went off. So that you're able to work on it in the future, as opposed to just being blank about it and not knowing where the fault was. So I would like to throw rejection out.
That's your manifestation.
Yes.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Varun, for doing this, taking out the time to talk
Thank
to
you.
us. Thank you.